What is your relationship, and what is your understanding of God? Who is God?
Most philosophers would say we're inside the mind of God, and so it would be impossible for us to understand actually what God's form is. So then the question is, how do you start believing in something that you can't see or smell or hear or touch or taste or acquire with your senses? And Jung provides the formula for that, and he says, act as if you fake it till you make it. And so that's, what I started doing.
So that's a very interesting approach to acting as if you believe in God, even if you don't really know if there is a God. Okay, I happen to agree with what Kennedy is saying about not being able to understand God, but I do believe that we can come to the belief in God. And if you struggle with it, he's quoting Carl Jung that, fake it till you make it. That is a Jewish idea, actually. The Rambam Maimonides writes, mitoch shelo lishma ba lishma. If you do something not for the right reason, but do the right thing, fake it till you make it, you'll eventually get to that place of actually believing, of being connected to that greater, higher power. I don't love it. It's not a great, deep understanding of God. I think that if you look at the beauty of the world and you look at the complexity of the universe, you can't help but believe in God. But if you're still struggling, fake it till you make it.
I just started pretending there was a God watching me all the time, and kind of life was a series of tests, and there was a bunch of moral decisions that I had to make every day. And if I make a whole bunch of those choices right, I maintain myself in a posture of surrender, which keeps me open to my higher power, to my God. And when I do those things right.
That is also a very beautiful idea, that if we look at our lives as a series of tests and challenges to make proper moral and ethical decisions. Of course, that's where the Torah comes in, to give us that guidance how to make those life decisions. Then we are growing. That's how we develop ourselves, and that's how we get closer to God.
So much about addiction is about abuse of power. All of us have some power, whether it's good looks, or whether it's connections, or education, or family. And there's always a temptation to use those to fulfill self-will. And the challenge is, how do you use those always to serve instead God's will and the good of our community? And when I do that, I feel God's power coming through me, and that I can do things. I'm much more effective as a human being. That gnawing anxiety that I lived with for so many years, and my God, it's gone. And I can see the evidence of it every day of my life.
He might feel God's power coming through him when he directs his talents. When each of us, he said, you might have good looks, you might have wealth. The question is, how do we use those gifts, those talents, those resources, not simply to serve ourselves, but to serve something beyond ourselves. And when you do that, you are truly connecting to God. That's a beautiful idea.